Reasons versus excuses. Oh, it's a battle that's raging right now, especially that more riders are willing to put out more reasons why they haven't succeeded in races as of late. And as a journalist in the sport, I kind of like it. And I know that journalist kind of carries a negative connotation these days. I'm not even going to say that I'm part of the media. I just did. Sorry. Hey, speaking of that, like and subscribe to this channel and like the videos. It helps with the algorithms. Yeah, new media. Anyway, yes, I'm Jason Wygant. I've been going to these races for 20 years. I can say that this particular media, the motocross and supercross media, are really only after two things, and they're the things that you want. The answers to what and why. First, what happened at the race? And second, why did it happen? And the riders are giving us more reasons than they used to. But unfortunately, sometimes the reasons get interpreted as excuses. And that brings us to this week, where Ken Roczen came into the opening round of Monster Energy AMA Supercross in Anaheim, saying he was sick, with a lot of people thinking he was putting excuses out there. And Adam Cianciarulo came in with a separated AC joint in his shoulder. By the way, fun fact, a separated shoulder is when the collarbone becomes disconnected from the shoulder. A dislocated shoulder is when your shoulder pops out of the socket. Huge difference. In Cianciarulo's case, a grade 3 AC separation. AC will be able to eventually recover without surgery. Probably just have a weird looking lump with that collarbone poking up. Now there's other facts. Cianciarulo has been hurt quite a bit, and Roczen has been sick quite a bit. In fact, you're probably tired of hearing about Cianciarulo being hurt, and you're probably sick of Roczen saying he's sick. But Roczen is probably also sick of being sick. He's the one that's had to deal with it, and he's also sick and tired of not having to say something. So he's just being honest, which leads us to a brilliant interview with Roczen on the Pulp MX show this week. Steve Mathis, I know YouTube Nation, I know you love him. But he does have a great relationship with the riders, and I can tell you, watching him and from what I do, having that relationship gets the honesty out of them. So here's Roczen's take on reasons versus excuses.
Of course, I had my body struggles, which is just an immune system thing. Like those are like things are just out of my control. It's not like I want to get sick, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I can't help it. And then when something is that bad, it'd be stupid for me not to mention it because I'm just trying to explain what's happened. You know, I could have easily said that, oh, my December's been great, off-season's been great, and then it's obviously it hasn't been, you know what I mean? So I just don't really care to hide shit, you know what I mean?
I like it. I like it.
Everybody is so weird about it, and I'm just not. I don't feel like it benefits. Give the other people, if they think they get a mental edge, so be it. Guess what? Whether I'm 100% or not, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to give it 100%. And, you know, whether I feel like completely, I would much rather fall over out there and like not be able to move anymore just because I'm so freaking tired. But I want to freaking give it a good shot for as long as I freaking can. You know what I mean?
Right.
Ah, yes, that is a brilliant interview there. It even included this crazy squabble of Mathis saying he doesn't believe Roczen can win the title, and Roczen not disagreeing.
Let me ask you this, because this is one of the big reasons why a lot of guys don't pick you for the series championship. Can we last 17 rounds?
Yeah, that's
Are we
me.
good?
That's me. I don't pick Ken any of the last 2 years. Right.
How do we feel this year? We feel a little bit better?
I don't blame you, Steve.
So Roczen knows that the haters are going to come his way, and Cianciarulo does as well. Listen to this.
But people can think the whole transparency thing, like most of I posted an Instagram video and I told everybody, people are like, oh, riders, you don't want to see, they don't want to see weakness, or I'm making an excuse or whatever. No, that's my whole persona anyways. I'm me for me and nobody else. But yeah, I'm just telling you how it is. I'm not trying to like control a narrative or anything. I'll tell you when I just suck too.
Okay, full transparency. These guys are trying to be honest. They are probably confused to say, look, I know my shoulder is hurt. Look, I know that I was in bed for 2 straight weeks in December. Check Roczen's Instagram for a post of how bad he sounded halfway through the month and a few weeks before Anaheim. They know it's the truth. Why is the truth not setting you free? Well, first of all, let's just say this. For probably 80% of the audience, it is. We know Cianciarulo was hurt. We know Roczen was sick. We hear that information, we take in that information, we're done. But obviously there's going to be a subset that says these are excuses. So what's the difference? Well, we have to look at this part first. Remember, this is sports. Teams and riders have fans, they also have haters. They have people that want them to win, they have people that want them to lose. If you're, just to pull an example, an Eli Tomac fan, and Tomac beats Ken Roczen, You want to know that Tomac just beat Roczen because he was better, not because Roczen had some problem. We all want to believe that these races are the ultimate cauldron, the ultimate proving ground, where everyone puts in everything 100% all the time and may the best man win. But unfortunately in sports, there are a million variables, from bad referee calls in stick and ball sports, or maybe even this one, to bike setup and tracks and starts and injuries and illness. We're never quite getting, I guess, that proof we want to know, did the best man truly win, or did the best man have an illness or a shoulder injury? Some fans just don't want to hear it, especially if the guy you like wins and then someone else gives a reason or an excuse. In addition, you might be fans of the rider with the reason or the excuse. Maybe you're a Roczen fan and you want to see him dominate, and you're tired of seeing some races where he dominates and other races where he doesn't because he's sick, and you're sick of hearing that. Or you're a Cianciarulo fan and you're tired of knowing he's fast enough to win the races, but then, like happened in Anaheim, after running in a podium position halfway through, the pain from the injury set in and he started going backwards. Maybe you're tired and hurt over the fact that he's always hurt. But either way, this is what tints and tilts our reasoning when we hear the reasons or the excuses. Now, there's a real genesis for this. At one point, riders did not discuss injuries at all. Much has been said about Ricky Carmichael's influence on the sport when he started training and eliminated the 90s we just party era and mentality. Now look, some riders did train in the 90s and did not party. I shudder to think what Mike LaRocco or Mike Kudrowski would think if they heard that people said the riders in the 90s just partied and didn't train. The good news is, I'm saying this on YouTube, and I can guarantee you that LaRocco and Kudrowski are not watching videos about motocross on YouTube, so we're safe. Carmichael didn't invent training, but there's no doubt that his extreme level of dominance and his extreme level of fitness really changed the game in that aspect. So everyone, for a while, had to take this super serious, and all you could do was say the words hard work. Also, Carmichael and his buddy over there at Fox Racing, Scott Taylor, did an excellent job of reinventing Carmichael as a brand back in 2002 when he was first dethroning McGrath and battling with the very popular Travis Pastrana, and he moved from his longtime employer at Kawasaki to the big bucks of Honda. People were booing him badly. And in just 3 years, he somehow turned that around to where in 2005, where his new rivals were James Stewart and Chad Reed, who were relatively new to the scene and absolutely did not know how to play the media and fan game the way Carmichael did by then. Reed would get really good at this later in his career, but not in his early 20s in 2005. Carmichael was lapping the field, not just at Millville in 2006. He was lapping the field with his persona and what he said in his interviews and how he was perceived by the fans. It was a rapid turnaround in just 3 years. And one of the things Carmichael did, because I think he knew that people didn't want to hear it, he never gave excuses. Now, it's very easy to do that when you don't lose very often. If you have a bad race and you lose, and you're probably going to win the next 5 or 8 or 24 races, there's really not that much to explain. It's a lot different if Carmichael suddenly started struggling and didn't win any races, and then people would really start looking for reasons. But he didn't have to do that, and he didn't. I remember the 2005 San Diego Supercross. Stewart was out injured. Carmichael was starting to vanquish the challenge from Reed. He had won several races in a row, and it looked like he was probably going to win the title that year, even though it was very early. And then in San Diego, Carmichael was leading, got held up by lap traffic late in the race, and Reed got around him and took the win. Now, Carmichael could have blamed the lap riders, but he knew better than to blame anything. In the press conference after the race that I was hosting, he kind of begrudgingly threw out well, Chad had to deal with some things that I didn't have to deal with. But he never said the word lappers. Again, easier to do when you're confident that you're probably going to go and win the next weekend's race, and this is a drama that you don't even need to get into. But either way, the idea of Carmichael saying, and he would use these words, I just got beat, or if I get beat, I'm just going to go home and work harder, it really sold well. And everybody does what the best in the game does. So you have to train hard, talk about training hard, and do not make excuses. Now, there is another reason that the riders are so careful to hide injuries, and I don't even know if they remember anymore why this is, but I'm going to give you the reasons why riders hide injuries. It is twofold. First, psychologically, when you go to the starting line, the idea is to strike fear in your competition. If you think you can win the race, and they're worried that you're going to win the race, and then they find out maybe you're a little bit knocked off of your game, maybe they will be that much more enthusiastic, that much more positive, that much more confident. So you don't want them to know that going in. And then riders will also talk about late in the race. It's a big battle. Everybody's tired. The track is rough. You're going to have to be clutch and execute perfectly in the last lap or two to make a pass. And then the rider will remind himself, wait, that guy I'm battling, isn't he hurt? And maybe that gives them that last bit of mojo, that last bit of confidence, that last bit of positive energy that they need to break through to the next level and make the pass. That's the general philosophy on why the riders are supposed to hide injuries. If you're saying, I thought they did it because if they said their ankle is hurt, people are going to aim at the ankle. I have heard some riders in the 1980s say they used to do that thing, but I do not believe that happens in any way, shape, or form at the races now. They are doing it to protect the psychological part of racing and not the physical side. But I think it's been a thing for so long that they might not even remember that that's why they're supposed to hide the injuries. And hence, they're just hiding the injuries because it's just what you do, and they don't even know anymore why you do that. So the likes of Cianciarulo and Roczen are trying to break the mold. And I'll tell you what, it's probably a lot less stressful to just say what's going on than to try to cover things up. It becomes an elaborate game, especially in these days where everybody has a phone and tweets and texts and things like that are just moments away. Probably be pretty hard to cover it up. And let's be honest, look at the returns. If Cianciarulo had gone from 3rd to 11th at Anaheim 1 and we didn't know he was hurt, he would have looked terrible. He also knows that there is a slice of the audience that is tired of hearing about him getting hurt. And maybe you're not a Cianciarulo fan and you're just saying, dude, you're just making excuses because you're a fan of Cooper Webb or Chase Sexton or someone else besides Cianciarulo. It's possible. So remember, when some fans are mad about hearing reasons and they think they're excuses, it's actually just because they're tinted or tilted in the direction of another rider. As a journalist, and I would hope you folks as fans, you just want to get as much data as possible. You want to know the what, and you want to know the why. And that's what we're trying to do. And I'll take it to another level. Yes, the riders are paid corporate spokespeople to talk about their motorcycles and the brands that back them. I will have another video about the fact that they're really just paid to win races and not be spokespeople later, and if anyone else wants to make a video about that before I do, then I know at least that they're watching my videos and getting inspired by my ideas. In that case, please like and subscribe. I told you. But before I get into that topic about the riders really just being racing machines and not marketing machines, we have to be happy about the fact that sometimes when the riders are giving reasons or excuses for not winning and blaming the motorcycle, you might not want to hear it. You might want to hear that the racing is the ultimate proving ground, an ultimate cauldron, and everyone came in at 100% and the best man won for sure. You might not want to hear about the bike setup stuff, but at the same time, it's kind of refreshing to know that a rider is being paid by a brand and doesn't automatically always give you biased information about how great that brand is. Sometimes it's an excuse, sometimes it's a reason, and sometimes it's actually true. And we do see, especially early in the Supercross season, riders ratcheting from the front of the pack to the middle of the pack and from the middle of the pack to the front of the pack because they're all guessing on bike setups in the early rounds. So when you hear that stuff at the early races, often it's just true, which would make it a reason and not an excuse. Sometimes they're going to be excuses and it's up to us to know the difference. But the bottom line is you have to be refreshed when a rider actually tells you the truth about the motorcycle. To wit.
And let's face it, as from a consumer standpoint, if you ride all these bikes, Honda feels the most rigid out of all these bikes.
Yeah.
So to get that compliancy is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, definitely from brand to brand, it is the bikes, especially stock, right? Like, I feel like a lot of the time when you ride a bike stock and it feels really good stock, then you just get better. But if you have a bike that isn't really that great stock, it's very difficult to just make that really, really good. So every bike has their unique characters, and some things people like better on that brand and then other people don't.
I feel like we should cherish it. These are reasons. These are the whys behind the what, and that's what we want. We want the most data possible, and we want to give you the most data, and you can choose to interpret it whatever way you want. But I believe in this day and age, we are getting more reasons than excuses. That is truly the test, right? If you watch a football game and one team is not able to score a lot, the reason might be that the other team had really good defense. It's not an excuse. It's just a reason. Reasons versus excuses. I'm sure the battle is going to rage on, but I'm going to vote for more reasons, more whys, more data, more info. That's what I'm trying to get, and that's what you're trying to get. That's probably why you're watching this channel. So make sure to like and subscribe. What excuse do you have not to?